Welcome back, everybody, to Icons. I am here with a victorious bot laner from RY, Luna. Congratulations. Very close series, very close game 3, but you closed it out. And I want to touch on your flexibility as a player. So first up, what does it feel like to go from something like a Draven to a Senna, two very different play styles in two different games?
일단 오늘 승리 너무 축하드리고요. 루나 선수의 어떻게 보면 넓은 유연한 챔피언 풀에 대해서 좀 얘기를 하고 싶은데 드레이븐이랑 뭐 세나도 쓰시고 오늘 매치하고 어떠셨나요, 기분이?
원래 제가 좀 이번 세계대회에 임하면서 많은 챔피언 풀도 늘리고 그렇게 준비를 해왔는데 오늘 같은 경기에 저의 챔프 포크 몇 개를 보여드리긴 했지만 그에 대해 제가 준비한 것처럼 좀 그런 좋은 성과는 나오지 못했지만 그래도 다른 선수들이나 이런 팬분들에게 제 챔프 폭이 좀 이 정도라는 거를 알려줘서 되게 좋은 것 같습니다.
So as I'm preparing for the icons, I've been really working on broadening my champion pool, and today I think I only showed a few of those. It didn't really go as well as I intended, but it was nice to be able to showcase some of my champions.
I mean, it was incredible to see just two different performances there, so good job. Next question. Liberty from Brazil, very loud team. They like to make a lot of noise. Is that intimidating when you're up on stage? Does it ever get into your head hearing them shout?
리버티는 브라질 팀이고 굉장히 표현도 많이 하고 시끄러운 팀인데 그게 루나 선수에게 뭐 두려움의 대상이 되지는 않는지 궁금합니다.
좀 확실히 브라질 선수들이 텐션이 높거나 그런 거는 보고 살짝 뭔가 저희 팀에 비하면 좀 기가 눌린 느낌이었는데 저는 그런 거에 연연하지 않고 좀 그냥 제 할 것만 하자 하면서 게임에 임했던 것 같습니다.
I did realize that Brazilian teams tend to be very loud and exciting, and we could be intimidated by that, but I didn't really care much about it as I'm going into the games.
All right, cool and collected from the Superstar 80 carry. And I want to touch on your history at international events. We saw RY last at Horizon Cup. So my question is, what's different about RY at Icons compared to last year? And also, what's different about you?
롤스터와이는 작년 호라이즌컵에 이어서 이번이 두 번째 국제대회인데 작년과 비교해서 롤스터와이 팀이 어떻게 달라졌는지 또 루나 선수 본인은 어떻게 달라졌는지 말씀해 주세요.
일단 작년에도 출전을 하고 이번에도 출전을 했지만 일단 저희 팀은 좀 많은 카드를 준비해 왔어요. 예를 들면은 좀 이렇게 원딜 캐리 조합이라던가 뭐 미드 캐리 조합, 정글 캐리 조합, 탑 캐리 조합 좀 여러모로 전 라인이 캐리를 할 수 있도록 저희가 준비를 좀 많이 해온 것 같고 저는 작년에 비해 좀 되게 뭐라 해야 되게 챔프 폭도 늘려왔고 여태까지 해오면서 이런 얻었던 것들을 제 머리에 입력을 시키고 그거를 토대로 이번 아이콘즈에 임한 것 같습니다.
So it is our second time coming to the international event, and I think what's most different about the team is that we've prepared a lot of different strategies: top carry, ADC carry, mid carry, jungle carry. All of the lanes that RY can certainly carry the game. So that's something that we have prepared for this particular international tournament. And for me personally, I've worked on broadening my champion pool. So that's something that fans can expect from us.
Well, we've seen carries in pretty much every lane already in your first series, so congratulations on the win. And Degon at the desk, back to you.
Thank you very much, Kangas. All right, there we go. Little action there by Kangas. All right. I think the big thing that jumped out at me about that interview was what you reacted to, which was, we just got to see a little bit of the champ pool that I've been practicing.
Yeah, imagine this is their first in tournament or showing at the group stages, and they showed Draven already pretty much. And I feel like that's something that you'd see somewhere down the line, you know. That's why I enjoy Luna's playstyle.
And we saw, he said, we're preparing new champions. You haven't seen any of them yet. He also teased that they have other playstyles.
Yeah.
They haven't showed us yet, which is very exciting.
Oh yeah, they said top carry, jungle, mid carry. Everyone can play carry in RY.
All right, well, we'll see how they do as they are in the upper bracket of Group D. Now our final match of the day pits North America's Immortals against JDG. And now I'm sorry that the weight of North America is on your shoulders, Immortals, but you're our only hope as we take a look at this starting roster that has a couple of wrinkles here from the team that won WNS with Zello and inserted into the starting lineup for this squad with Lebmont, Gume, and Charm, the long-standing members of Immortals here, TJ.
Yeah, and for so much of this roster, it's about their individual strength. Right, normally we see Araki Zoro and Hoon in that Zello starting slot, and right away one of the worries we had about this roster is, do they have the same opportunity to find duels, to find picks in the side lanes? Can starting fill Hoon's shoes?
Well, if someone's going to help him do that, it's a man of the jungle, Lemont Riku.
Yeah, absolutely, right? I think the biggest question is, as they're going to be facing JD Gaming, the biggest hurdle that they have to face is Singdo. So how does Lemont match Singdo here in this series? Because we already seen him, if he gets ahead, like we remembered back in the WNS, if he's on a Kha'Zix, if he gets ahead, boom, he's super aggressive, he gets the job done, he kills everyone! I know, another boom, he gets the job done! So as long as he's able to get past that farming stage, he can deliver.
Yeah, he definitely can. Again, on the opposite side, Immortals will be facing the #2 team from the WRL, JDG, JD Gaming. They took down Stamina and RRQ to move into the group stage, and they're looking very, very strong, as you see Lemon, Xingdu, Juju, T, and Doki as their roster here, TJ.
And my highlight is that top lane where Lemon has been dominant. Zello is coming into this team as a player who was on Cloud9 previously, as a player who has big shoes to fill versus Araki Zoro, who previously held that slot at the top of the IMT board, and he's now going to have to stand up to one of the best top laners in this tournament.
Definitely. Riku?
And that's the very scary part, right, is there's also the top jungle that the WRL keeps doing, and that's Singdo into the equation, so that means Lemon has to face everyone has to face the top jungle duo.
And for somebody like Zello, in the North American meta, not used to getting support, not used to having Lemont be up on that top side of the map supporting Zello against other top laners, so that's potentially a huge vulnerability or a strength, and maybe he shines with the support he never got.
Again, Zello, formerly of Cloud9, starting, everyone's favorite streamer in North America from Tribe. They're filling in and going to do their best against JDG. And again, the WRL strength has been on full display throughout this tournament. Can NA's #1 squad, with a couple of these moves, be enough? Let's find out as we get into game #1's draft, the final series of the day, Immortals versus JDG.
And when we look back at Singdo's top picks, it is the Kha'Zix and the Jax that he has basically spammed, picked 20 plus times in the WRL, and I feel like there could be a lot of respect coming from IMT unless they want to leave it open, so it could possibly go for a Jax Kha'Zix matchup for that late game, for that carry.
Yeah, the other thing I'm looking at over on the JDG side, I talked, of course, about Lemon, and we mentioned the Jindo combo with Lemon. I think Jojo in the mid lane has been incredible in his isolated lane. Oftentimes, Jindo is separated, playing around Lemon, playing around the side lanes, and Jojo is left to work on their own, find their own map control, and doing an excellent job of it. So, down to starting to do it, starting who made their name, became everyone's favorite streamer, by winning lane matchups in 1v1, by forcing other people out of lane. If they can do that on the international stage, it's huge. Their track record of doing that on the international stage, not great. If you remember Starting's performance with Tribe Gaming last year at the Horizon Cup.
Yeah, that's true. But when we look at the local, performance of Starting back then, I feel like the biggest pick that stood out for me was the Ari for Starting. But looks like IMT is going for the Corgi first, which is very good because you can flex it at 2 different lanes.
Yeah, this is a Starting classic. This is one of his favorite characters. The other thing you're looking for over on Immortals is the Varus, which is still in the pick pool. Gume is one of the best Varus players in the world, certainly one of the best in North America. And there's some counter-pick focus as well. That Kha'Zix, one of Jindo's favorite characters, but also coincidentally one of Lebmont's best characters as well. So these two teams very aware of each other.
Quick picks here, back-to-back by JDG, forcing Immortals back on the clock, and it's just straight to the WRL special. Put something tanky in that mid lane that's going to scale and be annoying, that's going to allow the carries to get on in as we get later.
And that does mean that we're going to expect Jojo to roam, to leave the lane on that Singed and be present in the top side, be present in the bottom side. Starting doesn't normally play that way.
Could be tough.
So my question is Starting going to either be able to match the roams or to do so much damage in that lane that you can't leave him alone?
Well, Jace just locked on in with Immortals here.
Yeah, it's going to be scary, right? Because first of all, picking up the Singed early means that it will deter IMT from picking a lot of these dash champions because of the adhesive glue. IMT says, no, we need engage, we're going to pick up the Rakan still, and we're going to leave this with a very strong team fight, picks so far in the draft.
Yeah, I'm very curious where this Jace is going. Obviously, it could be in any of the lanes, but I have a hunch that I've seen a couple of times in pro play now that it's going to be in Kume's hands, that it's going to be an AD carry Jace, and I could be totally wrong, but it does fit with Kume's preferred playstyle, having that ranged poke option, but also being able to close the gap. A well-fed Jace can be devastating, and if you get a good bottom lane matchup into something that wants to play slower, the Jace will eat it alive.
But the Varus might still be open, so there could be a big, you know, wave clear is very important for JDG for the WRL playstyle, so we still are not seeing that yet. But so far with the first 3 picks with the Garen being locked in, this is very clear of the JDG special, which is, you know, Singdo going to be carrying, and the rest, the 4 picks from JDG is going to supplement and make sure that he finishes the job.
And we're looking for either Ziggs or Varus in this final slot for JDG.
Or Lux.
When you draft a composition like this, you want very long-ranged dual lane carries that can knock people low, and then the Kha'Zix finishes them off. That's the 1-2 punch, and then most of your playmaking will come from the top side of the map, where we're still waiting on confirmation of what Lemon's running. It is probably this Garen, which would shift more focus than ever towards that bottom lane, towards Chop.
With the tanks now being picked up by JDG, right? You look at IMT picking a lot of damage, but the early laning phase is going to be very difficult to kill these tanky members. And Ziggs now being banned.
Yeah, Ziggs and Set banned. So IMT very aware of the playmaking potential of this bottom lane. Getting rid of it, that kind of redoubles my faith that this Jace is going towards the bottom side, but it can go both ways. Starting also plays Jace, so some real flexibility in the middle of this map.
There's still a lot of mystery, right? Like, I mean, I'd even say that Lemont could also pick the Jace, and there you go. That's the Varus being picked up for the wave clear.
I will say, if you put Chase into Singed, I think that's crazy. I think that's an insanely bad matchup for the Jace. So I would expect that Jace to go down into the Varus or up top into the Garen, wins either of those matchups.
Yeah, it's going to be very vulnerable, right? Because you're expecting JoJo to pick a Proto Belt first item, and then boom, you just die. Singdo's going to visit. Singdo's going to visit that lane. So now JDG, do you pick up the Thresh here? Because remember, Thresh and Varus, the most oppressive bottom lane, especially when it comes to the early game. And so far for IMT, a lot of setups.
Yeah,
damage.
This still doesn't answer our questions because the Wukong is presumably in the jungle. So there
Diana.
it is. That doesn't answer any of our questions either. This draft for Immortals can swap 3 ways.
I think it's Jace top, right?
Yeah.
It's Jace top, Wukong jungle, and Diana mid. But still, it could be either way.
Carry.
Yeah.
But you really could flex this a lot of different ways. I think you're very likely right. But we will find out. Over on the JDG side, this means that they can't guarantee what matchups they're going to get. So they go for Old Faithful. No, not Steve Kangas' beard. It's the Thresh.
Ooh, yeah. This is basically a very oppressive, again, bottom lane, Thresh, and the Varus. When we look at the versus, of course, the Corki's going to get chunked out a lot by this lane.
All right, well, you see the drafts here, where your loyalties lie. Prediction time.
JDG for me. They are very strong. Second seed from the WRL, no questions.
We went over this earlier. I used my head for the predictions, my heart for everything else. Head says JDG.
Heart says Immortals, baby! Come on, Immortals! Game 1 ready. And drafts locked in. The swaps are in. It is the way that we think it is. It will be the Diana in the mid lane. It's jungle Jace here for Lemont and Wukong on the top side of the map. Game 1 underway. North America, they have hope one more time. Will it come out on top? Let's find out with game number 1. Rothman Stewart, take it away.
Thanks, Degon. And oh, baby. Oh, the moment has finally arrived. It is time for North America's lone seed to play their first ever match. And for all the NA fans that are waking up at this time, which, you know, I think East Coast, it's just almost 11 a.m. West Coast, it's about 8 a.m. over there. Waking up, and obviously this is going to be one of Immortals' toughest opponents within this group. I'm not gonna lie, Stuart. I don't.
It's okay. I know how you feel.
Yeah.
I had the same feeling.
Yeah,
with,
but you know what? I am here for stellar Wild Rift gameplay,
Yeah.
and if I'm very positive that JDG is going to be the one leading the charge in that. They pretty much took every single series almost undefeated. They dropped one game only to Rex, the Filipino representative. But JDG, I think even in their interviews afterwards, when they were surprised by Rex's, just boldness, especially the Rakan mid.
Yeah.
JDG's mission is to not drop another game in this entire group stage.
Zello. A little bit of early aggression here from Zello. So, quickly talking about, team comps and draft and everything. There was a lot of flexibility on the side of Immortals, really, in the draft. Lamont on the Jace jungle is not something that we see in this tournament, but it's something that he is very, very comfortable with. He played it 3 times in a row in the semi-finals and the WNS finals as well. So a pick that he's very, very comfortable with. And pretty much most of these champions that Immortals have picked as well, they're all very comfortable with, especially starting mid lane. Everyone's favorite streamer on the Diana.
At least NA's favorite streamer.
Yeah, NA's
you gotta make sure we got other streamers from around the world. But for Immortals, I know there's some surprise from the desk about Lemont, Jace in the jungle, but for those that follow the WNS, Lemont played that Jace jungle numerous amount of times throughout the playoffs. In fact, 3 of them during finals, as you called it out. And the other big thing is that WNS kind of specialized in the Jace jungle even after the original nerfs. Jungles like Type, even Tarzan and T-Tigers trying to perfect that as a favorite. But now JDG trying to pick off one of the newer members to the roster, Zello, the substitute from Cloud9 Baron. But Charm on this Rakan, getting the flash out of Chip.
Yeah, good early aggression here by Immortals and good respect by Zello as well. I don't think he actually knows that Jingdu is here in the Baron lane, but now they will know. They will know that he's there now, but really real play by Zello, to be fair. Obviously, he lost a little bit of farm. He's 500 gold behind, but in the meantime, that means that Lamont can just farm up the jungle and Jingdu has to waste a little bit of time trying to get the pressure up in the Baron lane.
For Immortals here, a lot of their early game power is in Lemont on this Jace. You have access to so much damage and tools and abilities to somewhat close the distance. It's not a traditional jungler where you have guaranteed CC like from a Sin Zhao or a traditional amount of mobility and burst damage from the Lee Sin. It is it's a more difficult champion to pilot, but Lemont is someone that has surprised everyone in NA from time and time again, even pulling out random picks. All right, I shouldn't say random pick, even forced into a situation where he had to play a Kai'Sa jungle because of an unfortunate misclick, and they still won with this game. And I think that's the big story here for this matchup, is Lemont was heralded as the #1 player from NA. So many people in the community has talked about he is the best player on the server. When he returned, he made an absolute force and showing. The big test is you're going up against Xingdo, who is one of the best junglers from WRL as well.
Yeah. The Chinese seed and Chi landing the chain of corruption there, but yeah, the Chinese seed coming in. JDG, like you said, had a really, really strong performance in the playing stage. Only dropped 1 game against RRQ. But I feel like, NA, they still have hope. There's still a bit of hopium in there for for the North American fans that you said that are just waking up.
We're going to let this game play out, and we'll let the gameplay speak for itself. Because I do want to go back to Xingdo on this Kazakhs pick. Throughout the WRL playoffs, had garnered a numerous amount of MVP awards, mainly on this pick as well. So the fact that Immortals were not able to take away the Kazakhs, it goes to show that saying, hey, Immortals are willing to face up against Xingdao's potentially best pick.
And I think in terms of the Eastern teams as well, in terms of China, South Korea, Southeast Asia, and Korea, they love the Singed. They love the Kazakhs. They love the Garen as well. These are picks that they'll be very, very comfortable with. The bans over to the side of Immortals was to do with the Riven, Camille, and Senna, but you're still leaving open a Singed. One of, China, especially WRL, one of their most played champions. The same with Kazakhs as well. So, I think JDG will be happy with this draft overall. You can see that already, with nothing happening in the game at all, they're basically at nearly 1,000 gold lead, and that's with no kills, no aggression or nothing like that.
Yeah, surprisingly enough, JDG, after the flash burned on the Chia in the early lane by Charm has been able to follow Doki around the map, I got a chance to talk with Charm as well before the series, saying I've just been trying to keep up pace in a lot of the scrim games with some of the best WRL supports. They have taught me so much similar to how Mana Fritze has been trying to learn as well.
This is good though for Immortals. This is really, really good. They're going to be able to take the Rift Herald here. They do trade it for the Dragon, but now it's all about Lamont. You know, what are you going to use with this Rift Herald? You are giving up the Infernal Dragon, which is going to give you that scaling AD and AP over time, which for a comp like JDG as well, they do have quite a lot of good scaling with the Varus, with the Kha'Zix as well, with the Singe, who's going to be really, really annoying after he gets 1 or 2 items. But at the moment, this is pretty stable. This is, you know, this is good, you know, for all the NA fans back at home. This is, I think you'll be happy with this start. You know, nothing too crazy has happened. Like I said, it's just all about really how Lamont uses this Rift Tower. So all eyes are going to be on this Jace to see where he's going to move around the map, where he's going to be wave clearing, where he's going to be clearing the jungle, and where he's going to be trying to focus down.
Yeah, something tells me though that JDG is just more than fine going for the late game. They're fine taking the handshake. The fact that they got the Infernal Dragon early on, it adds to the scaling power and the full-on lethality potential of Xingdo's Kha'Zix. That is the big carry here. And we have seen mixed results from most of the other regions when they play the Kha'Zix. But when it comes out from a WRL team, whether it's JDG or Nova or even J-Team so far on the Kha'Zix, they make it look like one of the most broken junglers in the game.
That's the crazy thing about it. I mean, all you have to do with Kha'Zix really is just scale. Once you get the evolved abilities, especially the first ability, the spikes, and also the leap as well when you're getting the resets, once you get them evolves, once you reach, you know, level 11, level 13, that's really where Kha'Zix comes online. And like you said, you know, the scaling for JDG, they'll be happy with this early game. They have the Drake for the scaling. And that's why I said it's really down to Lamont and it's really down to Immortals to try and find that little bit of an advantage that they can in the early game with this Rift Herald.
Just seems like so much tension is being built up on the map before the first strike is being dealt. Charm with the roam, pairing up with Zello. It's going to be far more difficult to take down a full HP Garen at this stage in the game, even with only a Black Cleaver to boot. But this Garen is going to get even tankier and tankier as the game goes on. JDG still biding their time.
Yeah, they're going to be biding their time. They're just going to be trying to stall as much as possible. Starting in a little bit of trouble in the bot side, but there you go. There's the Rift Herald use. They see the rest of JDG all rotating down, but it's quite far. Did it expire, or did he just use it there? I'm a little bit confused. I don't think it would have expired just yet. It's a little bit too quickly.
We'll see if it can make its way through. Oh, JDG. You even see Immortals force the flash, trying to guarantee the charge in, but JDG just overwhelmed the Immortals jungler and clean up first blood.
The Mon just flashed forward, but I don't know why he flashed forward. I think it might have been a misclick or something, or, you know, it must have just, I don't know, it might be nerves or something as well. But Charm in the bot lane, they're going to try and kill another tank.
Paired up with starting as well, but it's not enough damage on the JoJo. And the response from Doki, JDG are quick to punish the rest of Immortals. Xingdo being able to take down Charm.
And Charm is doing really well with these roams. He's getting picks, but the problem is, it's on a Garen. It's on a Singed. You don't have a lot of damage this early in the game to try and take down these tanks. And now they've just given over a few kills over it. Now it's going to be getting even more, and Starting's dashing in.
Oh, Starting will trying to outplay the skill shots, but he has nowhere else to run and already used the flash. He was dead as a doornail on that one. JDG, maybe this pick. Gume with package, routing off Lemon. Can they get enough damage down? Exhaust slowing him down, but it's still not enough. Immortals just grasping at straws, trying to find kills in the early game.
They're trying to find little advantages. They're trying to roam around. They're trying to get these picks. The problem is that JDG's comp is just way too tanky. It's so hard to break them down. It was Charm up in the Baron lane to start off with, trying to kill the Garen. Then he tried to rotate down to the bot side to kill Singed. You just can't kill them, you know? It's just so difficult to try and break through this front line of JDG, and all it takes is like one little misplay with Lamont in the mid lane as well with the flash, which I'm not really too sure what he did, and then with the Rift Herald as well. They do get the first tower of the game though, so there is a little bit of gold in the Immortals' back pocket.
And this was the concern that I had expressed for Immortals. With an early bridge like Jace, yes, you have some benefits later the game goes on, but you don't want to underestimate JDG with a composition that has a Kha'Zix that can become super lethal the later the game goes on, trying to interrupt the Rift Herald. Charm flashing forward with the two-man knockup off the quickness. It's not enough follow-up though. Immortals still just once again so close to maybe getting a kill, but JDG just clearly stronger in every interaction.
Feels like they weren't on the same page there as well, really. You know, it was starting going in, then Charm went in. You know, they're going in individually. They're not going in as a team at the moment. This comes back to maybe they're not used to, you know, playing with each other. You know, these are two subs that have come in, you know, starting, and also Zello. Maybe they're still not on the same page. We've seen other teams struggle with it as well. You know, Game Lord and Buriram as well, in terms of substitutes, in terms of, you know, I mentioned it before, you know, when it's so close to a World Championship final, when unfortunate events like this happen, it's difficult because you've been practicing all year with this squad, and then suddenly, right at the last hurdle, things happen.
I mean, obviously, we had expectations that JDG were going to be the favored team in this matchup. JDG coming from the WRL second seed in a 4-2 victory for FPX meant that JDG were strong enough to take, you know, a couple games off of them. But IMT, it's not just being outmatched. You can see that there is some nerves happening. And for the outside looking in, if you've never seen Immortals gameplay before, it could be easy to chalk up for an outside spectator to say they're not playing, you know, JDG are just outmatching them every single way. And Immortals gonna have to step up their gameplay though. You know, maybe not expected to win the series, but it definitely doesn't seem characteristic of them based on the way they played in the WNS Grand Finals and the rest of the playoffs.
We have to remember as well, that this is, like you said, this is the WRL, this is JDG. This is potentially, in most people's eyes, the strongest region, and potentially the second best team in the entire tournament as well, even though they did have to come through the plains.
All right, starting, looking for a Moonfall. Two-man knockup from Charm. But is the damage follow-up there? I don't think so. Lemma can't get through the front line. However, JDG can't dive for too long, and Xingdo was the one that was left behind. It is Immortals' first kill on the board, but JDG still ahead by 4,000.
Again, it's starting that goes in, and Zello that goes in trying to kill these frontline tanks, and the flash, great flash by Starting.
Starting is able to hold on for long. Still has the barrier in case things go a little more awry.
And again, it's the situation where I feel like it just goes back to draft, really. You know, I think the reason why we don't see these champions at the moment, you know, especially, you know, likes of Diana, the likes of Jace as well, is because with Diana, you want to be against a lot of squishy champions with Diana. You know, you don't really have that big, massive burst damage against the likes of like a Singed, a Garen, even like a Kha'Zix as well, which, you know, builds Black Cleaver. That's still a lot of health as we go back to this replay. Kind of what I said, you know, we can look at Starting going in, Charms going in as well. But JDG, they could just tank up the tower completely fine. You can see the Garen, he's tanking up the whole tower. Yes, Xingdo does die in the end here as well, but it just shows how tanky this comp can be and how difficult it is for this Immortals comp to break through the front line and break through JDG.
Yeah, I think for Immortals, the clear window that they were looking for, it's already passed. Like, we're 13 minutes into the game. JDG have been accelerated into the mid-game. They endured and they avoided any conflicts that were not necessary from Immortals. And Immortals did not get a chance to capitalize or even force an opportunity where they could find a lead. And now JDG, this is the part of the game where they get to thrive. This is where we saw them in the playing stage, play so dominant, play so with so much control. They have the utmost protection in all these entrances of the Baron and in the Dragon Pit as well. And so Immortals, you are really just hoping for miracle plays and for JDG to get an arrow.
Zello, I think he might have got a solo kill on the bot side. Here we go.
Wait a minute. No way, Zello all the way from Oh, man. It was so close. Zello almost getting the 1v1 on the Lemon. It definitely would have surprised everyone. And unfortunately, just out of reach.
Starting.
Now Starting looking for his own solo kill. But JoJo, as you said before, too tanky. The exhaust as well. Protobell flip, clips him out. Starting, tries to outplay it, can't get away from the members of JDG.
Zello with the 1v1 though. I mean, there's potential. You can see there. There's some hopium in there. You know, the 1v1. He didn't get the kill, unfortunately, but there's a little bit of hope but now they're just getting picked apart right now. But, I mean, like you said, with the WRL teams, they like to play a little bit slower, and the flash flip again, wow.
Oh, Lemon flashing forward, okay, he cleans up one, but it's gonna force the GA, and Xingdo finds a straggler in Charm, knows that he's isolated. Xingdo flourishing on the stage, and on the signature Kazakh as well, picks up another 2 kills.
Beautiful there by Xingdo, really working well towards the resets, has the upgraded third ability, which means he gets the jumps resets every single time he gets a takedown. 5, 1, and 3 at the moment on his Kazakh, so you can see across the board there's pretty much goalies everywhere at the moment as we take a look back at the replay. I was we completely missed the start of that.
I see you, Doki. He was trying to be fancy with it. He's seen some of the Threshes on the stage get that death sentence flash, and he's like, all right, I wanna add to my highlight montage reel. Doesn't find it, unfortunately.
And Jojo as well on this Singed is playing so aggressive, so crazily aggressive, just flashing forward, proto-bouting forwards. But you can see that JDG, they're in their comfort zone now, like you said, you know, WRL, they're not known for this early game aggression, they're known for the late game scaling comps, they're known for these team fights and the way they play around the map, and this is exactly the sort of position that they want to be in. They've got a gold lead, they have all 3 dragons, and at this point of the game, like you said, you feel like it's a miracle that Immortals need to pull out.
8,000 gold ahead, they've routed off Zello. This time around, Lemon's got all of his friends. So there's no 1v1 outplay potential from Zello, despite what we saw a couple minutes ago. JDG, 3 dragons to their name, about to hit that 10,000 gold point of no return. The rest of Immortals now corralled under the safety of their tower, trying to hold on. Charm is starting, doing everything that it can, but JDG flexing all their muscles, flexing the power of the WRL. Gume manages to get out alive, but JDG still get control of the entire jungle.
Yeah, Lamont's pushing up in the Baron lane. They're trying to get some gold into their pockets right now, but Xingdo on this Kazakh. This is a champion that you just cannot give over to him. He's doing so well at the moment, has 3 items, nearly 4 items. Oh, there you go, there's his 4th item. He had 4 items to his name now already after 17 minutes into this game, and it just looks too easy at the moment for JDG. They're just able to rotate around the map. They're able to find the picks that they need, the team fights that they need as well. And it just feels like it just all started off in the early game, really.
Yeah, I will say, despite some of the early mishaps from Lemont, he is... Oh, he's gone. JDG says, what's up, Lemont? This is not your jungle anymore, buddy. This is our jungle. This is our rift. JDG maintaining full control of this game. And no jungler to contest from Immortals means that this Baron is absolutely free.
It was like a pre-caster curse there. You was about to say something good about Lemont. You didn't get the words out, and then he just died. He just got one shot.
JDG is like, hold up, what were you going to say about Lemont?
Yeah.
What were we going to say, Rafa? Relax, JDG. I've been applauding you guys because I know your strength, I know your power and the force that you guys bring to the table. JDG in completely dominating fashion. Maybe they gave up 3 turrets, maybe they gave up 2 kills. But starting even through this Moonfall, can't get enough damage to answer back against JDG. They're pushing in the Baron minions systematically, ever so efficiently. They're kiting all the way back. Doki going in. Flexing the muscles once again. Death sentence onto another one, and they're getting the resets down.
Oh my god,
Zello's gone. Charm finding knockup after knockup, but just not enough damage. Xingdo going golden, trying to answer back on the Lemon, but it doesn't even matter. JDG, a hell of a stomp against North America's representative.
Very clean game from JDG. Immortals, they tried to bring the aggression in the early game, Charm with the roams as well, but JDG with they just knew what they needed to do, you know, right place at the right time. They were there for the counter engages. It has to go back to the drawing board quickly for Immortals because they haven't got too long until we get into the second game in the series.
And honestly, Stuart, I think Immortals were caught off guard by the lack of proactivity from JDG in the early game. They were expecting that, okay, we know how Doki played in the play-in stage. He was roaming super early on. They punished Stamina Esports super well. They were able to get bounce backs against Rex as well. And so Charm was ready. He was tracking Doki. He was trying to make sure that he could answer any side lane ganks, making sure that Zello didn't go down. And JDG is like, it's not that deep, bro. We're scaling. we're going right into the mid game. We're getting Xingdo online on this Kha'Zix, and he's the one that's gonna be the full-on carry, of course. And Immortals, by the time they realized it, they forgot that, like, hey, we have a Jace. We should be trying to slam them early, and they missed their window here. But obviously, we got more to cover on this series as well as we head into game 2. And of course, D-Gon, how you holding up, buddy?
Rico, I'm here with Rafa. You need to, that's it.
I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this here for the analyst desk.
I'm fine. I'm keeping
okay.
it cool, man. I'm keeping it cool.
Okay.
You're keeping it cool because you got another game.
We're the comfort here,
I
Riku.
just
We're the
sat there
comfort.
and got like suffocated for like 15 minutes, or however long that game was. That was pretty rough. It was good up until what had to have been an accidental flash forward by Lebmont.
Oh, yeah.
Because he was farming better than everyone else, farming better than Jingdu.
That's true.
But once you flash in there and you have all the gold, you're playing from behind the whole time. Same thing with Zello in the 1v1, spamming the ability and not quite able to get it. Your mic's not on. So we'll go ahead and try to figure that one out. I can't hear it.
Yeah, for me, it has to be, you're right, D-Gon. It is, if you're up against a Cinch that is ready to do that big flip on that Jace, on Lebmont, unfortunately, that's your primary target. Because yes, you mentioned that he farmed so much, even farmed better than Xingdo, which was I think that was a good sign. It was a very good sign for Immortals.
Yeah.
But then until the mid lane, as you mentioned.
So I've got you, D-Gon. I've got the answer, hopefully, which is that so much of what we saw during the early game was all about the presence of that top laner, right? We saw so much that was good from IMT, and then things went wrong just because of one missed flash, just because of one mess up. And here's the copium. You ready?
Here's the copium.
We've seen that all day today, man. We've seen Rolster step up. Their very first stage game looked a little shaky. That's all it is. Just gotta get the stage nerves out of the system. Just gotta make sure that, game number 2, no false flashes. It'll be fine for Immortals.
So basically, TJ is saying, you're saying that just let it all out in game number 1, get everything all out, and then everything for game number 2 is all set. The nerves are back.
I've got a second
all
one
the
for
way.
D-Gon now. You ready?
Okay.
The reality is, yeah, Lebmont was farming well. The rest of the map was already losing. By the time we're at that point where a false flash is in, there's already so much map control for a very well-scaling comp for JDG. So they needed to be more aggressive on the map early. They needed to take more control. We didn't see IMT doing anything proactive. We saw Starting losing his lane. No, he wasn't losing his lane, but he wasn't gaining control of what should have been a him-sided lane. A lot of things were going wrong for them prior to a Fat Finger.
Yeah, there were so many things where Charm was also trying to make certain grand entrance attempts, but every single time JDG sees this coming, burns a flash, and after that, nothing else happens. They really can't equalize the goal just because, again, JDG is such a strong team when it comes to control and getting the lead and keeping it that way.
So which TJ did you like more?
The
honest one or the first one?
I liked the honest one.
Aww.
Okay, well, that's me, so I like that.
Yeah,
Thanks,
I
Giga.
know. As we take a look at some more of these highlights at this point, too beefy, too forehead, no worries of towers, and just able to continue to the dive. And JDG take control of this game and close it on out here, Rico.
I want to point out the fact that JDG drafted the solo laners as tanks. And therefore, if Lebmont wanted to gank any of the side lanes, mid lane, top lane, it's impossible for them to die at the early stages of the game. And therefore, really your only source of income is just the jungle.
Which was doing well at that point, like all the way up until like 7 minutes. And that's where the flash forward into the first blood and then falling behind at 10 minutes and then...
Mountainside sunset.
Mountainside
Orange
sunset.
Sky.
Yeah,
I see it, TJ. I see it. Is it sunset? Oh no, it's sunset, not dusk, dawn.
It's dawn. You're right, in North America, it is dawn.
Ah!
The dawn of another game. Game 2 of this series.
There it is. Thank you, TJ. Comedians today on the analyst desk at My Misery, and North American fans who are just waking up to see their #1 squad get bodied here by the #2 squad from the WRL. Again, I think we look at draft here, and one thing that you brought up, the Jace jungle, was something that I think maybe a little bit outdated, maybe something that we could be different here in the future.
I mean, I would say the Jace jungle wasn't a problem, but my question would be, what were they losing on the map because of the Jace jungle? Because the Jace jungle is, at best, a self-farm, right? You play it kind of like the Jax. For the first couple of minutes, you're just farming, and then you get into the team fights and you do a truly remarkable amount of damage. And that means, of course, that in comparison to NUJack's comp, you don't have the early game CC. He doesn't have the big same stun that you can deploy in early game team fights.
Right.
And also, we didn't see any kind of early game aggression because he doesn't have the kit to do that. So maybe part of the fact that IMT were falling behind early was because of the Jace jungle. Who knows? It wasn't the problem.
Yeah. And I feel like what you also lose is the fact that since nothing was really happening in the early stages of the game, I felt like the Jax would have been very appropriate at the time, right? That means you have more fighting power at the later stages of the game. You have more matching fighting power up against Singdo for sure when it comes to the team fights, and it's just going to whack every single tank. I feel like that's an avenue because JDG played that really, really slow.
They did opt into this slow play. I was surprised how much Xingdu did not gank. I thought he was going to get in there a couple times a little earlier on the top side of the map to put some pressure on New Zella there.
Well, aggression is forced. And if you're giving JDG free reign of the map, if you're not taking any aggressive plays, JDG don't feel the need to take any risks. Why would they? Everything's going their way. So if Shinjo were taking more aggressive risks, I think that would be a good sign for IMT. It would mean that they were forcing something to change from the JDG game plan, as opposed to JDG just sitting there until they complete their items and then taking the fights they want to take.
The beefy boys in the front and the jumping bug in the back.
Boing, boing.
That
Boing,
seemed
boing.
pretty
Boing, boing.
straightforward. Boing, boing.
And then he goes, meh. Oh, I like that one.
Right?
All right,
That's a classic
TJ,
sound.
go back to the other TJ.
How is Riku?
Go back.
No,
No, I'm saying, go back to the other TJ.
Okay.
What do Immortals need to do here?
All right, so it's so easy, bro.
So easy.
All they need to do is draft an aggressive scaling carry for starting. Give him something that will be powerful in the late game, play to his lane early. Get something with early game CC in the jungle for Lebmont, and have him run that mid-jungle synergy. We know Starling is an incredibly aggressive player. If you can put gold in his hands, then you can win.
And for me, it has been the blueprint where some of the play-ins teams would execute is that if ever the enemy jungler is focusing on top side, then you go dive bot lane as well. So I feel like that's another approach that they could take.
All right. More aggression out of Immortals here. Again, trying to shove off the rust, the dust, after sitting and watching all these teams play in the play-in stage. Will they be able to do it? Let's find out. Send it back to Rafa and Stewart for game number 2.
You got this, brother.
Hell yeah, brother. We're going to get back in there for game 2. That's what all the NA fans are hoping. And not definitely in the Hulk Hogan voice. Although I did enjoy TJ saying boing. You know, just boing. JDG with you know, Singdo on the Kazakhs, really just boinging all over the map. And just...
That's all you need to do with Kazakhs. Get the reset.
That is the dream.
Boing, kill, boing, kill.
You're like Goomba stomping them at that point. But for Immortals, I'm in alignment with a desk. If NA fans want to hold on to any hope, I'm going to go back to something that the desk brought up earlier for the matchup of Leviathan versus Nova Esports. This is a very difficult matchup to overcome. And so for Immortals, whether they win this series or not, they should look to push themselves, their limits. They should not play afraid. They should play with confidence. They should play with zero hesitation and just go for things. Try and catch JDG off guard, because if you play the slow game, if you play the scaling game, at JDG, they're always going to be one step ahead of you.
And I think it goes back to the draft as well. I think what the devs were talking about, the draft, I think JDG just got everything that they wanted. They're all comfort picks. You know, the Garen, the Singe, the Kazakhs. These are all comfort picks on the side of JDG. This is what they've been playing in the planes as well. This is what China is known for. These double tanks in the mid lane and the top lane. You have the control ADC in the bot lane as well. Now it's down to Immortals to maybe switch things up a little bit. They have decided to go onto the red side for this game, so that means that JDG will get their first pick priority, but then Immortals will be able to pick 2 on the red side.
So far, the bans have not changed up, although with the Yuumi and the Karma switch up, I remember that IMT had banned out things like the Riven and the Camille when they were on the blue side last time around.
Yeah, they did ban the... They've switched things up because I feel like on the red side you have to ban out the likes of the Yuumi and the Karma because it's such an easy first pick priority. Teams maybe don't focus it as much, but if you give that over to JDG, then it's a bit difficult. Nasus ban's an interesting one.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie.
That's a weird one.
It's been a hot minute since Gumi and Charm have pulled out the Senna Nasus combo, so But
Are they just toying with them now? I don't really know at this
I
point.
mean, honestly, I wouldn't put it past them. And at JDG, it seemed like they could do anything in game 1.
Yeah, they would have come out on top anyway.
Yeah. They'll flex whatever they want. It's like, all right, I mean, Immortals didn't put up that much of a fight. You know, let's show us what you got, bro.
You know what the ultimate flex would be?
What's that?
A Teemo.
Oh my goodness. Hold up.
That would be the ultimate flex.
Yeah,
If
that
we're
would be
talking about BM, if we're talking about flex, that's the ultimate flex. But Immortals, they're going to go back to the Jace. Again, like the desk was saying as well, it feels like Immortals were just going for a lot more comfort picks that they've been playing a lot throughout the WNS.
That's fine.
But the problem is that I feel like the meta has changed. I think the desk said it as well. You know, there are a few old picks. There are a few picks that maybe worked maybe a few patches ago. But now on this new patch with the nerfs that have come through from Jace, and we're not seeing a lot of Jace jungle. But maybe there might be a switch up now. Maybe this might be starting mid Jace, which we have seen quite a lot as well.
Potentially. Now, if you want starting to have that Jace, as the desk pointed out, you want to get him away from the Singed matchup.
Yep.
And there's still 2 more picks to go for JDG. They can go ahead and lock down this Kha'Zix, but the Corki, the fact that it was available and not secured by Gume, means it's too high of a priority to take.
Yeah, Corki's been played by JDG 3 times already in the playing stage. So no surprise they're going to pick up. And the set as well. The aggressive set, most likely in the hands of Doki. Can go in the hands of Lemon as well. But we're seeing a lot more support set nowadays in terms of like a full tank and just that aggressive play in Morgana as well. So Immortals switching things up, but same with JDG as well. But the thing with JDG, again, they have a scaling comp. They have the Corki in the center.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing for Gume is JDG already recognizing and respecting his ability to pull out games on something like a Lucian, one of the few marksmen that we had in the WNS that was going to it. I think the only other NA 80 carry or Dragon Laner is Jerboa that would be bold enough to like take a marksman like that early on. So Immortals, they're going back. They're putting Gume more than likely on this Morgana so he can be an AP carry, which then, in theory, against something like a Senna set, you should have the wave clear and allow Charm to roam on the map freely once again.
I feel like this might mean that Jace might be in hands of starting this game, putting him on more of a carry. You know, dying in the last game didn't really do too well. Then the thing is though, is that Immortals are still banning out the Singed. I feel like JDG are not going to pick Singed. You already have the Corki, which will most likely go into the mid lane. You have Senna in the bot lane as well, which means that, like, is there really any point of banning out the Singed?
Well,
I like the Kha'Zix ban.
Yeah, I think it's respecting the potential flex from Set instead of sending it with the Senna in the support role. That maybe it could have gone to Lemon. We haven't seen Set Baron lane in quite some time, but had they not banned the Singed, they didn't want to run into the option of, oh, Corki Senna bot lane instead, and then boom, Singed is thrown mid, and then you can no longer get the Jace.
There's potential. I mean, I think if you go like Corki Senna, you're going for like a more supportive Senna style.
Sure.
Like Senna likes to have like that frontline tank by her side as well. So
it's just making sure that there's
they just
no
don't
option.
Go into it. Yeah, exactly,
they just don't want to deal with the possibility of the Singed, and this allows them to secure that starting can get this Jace for an ideal matchup here.
It's going to be a Varus for good. So this could
Morgana
potentially
jungle,
be
maybe.
Morgana support as well. Could potentially be Morgana support. Charm has played it once in the WNS as well.
Morgana support and Gragas Baron, or Morgana jungle and Gragas support. Those are the 2 possibilities we're looking at. Technically, I know Starting has been putting in games on Gragas mid as well. We haven't seen that much Gragas mid in this tournament, but I know leading up a lot of the regional tournaments like the WCK, like the WRL, we're playing a lot of the Gragas mid as an answer to a lot of the more aggressive mid laners at the time.
Again, it's all flexibility again for Immortals. I feel like they did this in the previous draft as well, but sometimes I feel like they can just get a little bit too dizzy at times. I mean, I feel like it happened in the previous game where Immortals had all these flex picks, and then they have to decide on the spot as well. And you look at the comment, wow, that's an instant lock on Renekton. So Renekton, Baron lane, starting mid lane potentially, which means it's going to be Gragas support. Yeah, Gragas support Morgana jungle for Lemont.
So the big thing that I'm looking at now for JDG, they were holding on to the scaling composition, this main core of Senna, Corki, and Set not revealing the rest of the cards of which direction they were going to go. If they were going to also give scaling elements to both Lemon and Singdo, or if they're going to go for more aggressive options. Riven, a great scaling character, but can scrap early. Conditionally, Singdo is the bridge. He is the man that is going to snowball and propel someone like Lemon far ahead. And even though the Immortals, they are giving the trust to Zello to play this Renekton, someone that can win the early laning phase against Lemon, I imagine that Singdo is going to come up and rectify that laning phase real quick.
I mean, I feel like sometimes as well when the Lee Sin gets picked in with a scaling comp, Lee Sin is just there just to stall the early game as well.
Correct.
Just in terms of, you know, maybe looking for counter ganks, maybe looking for the early aggression skirmishes, making sure that, in this case, Immortals are not the ones that are playing aggressive, so they're there as like a store. Obviously, Lee Sin doesn't scale as well as like a Kha'Zix, for example, but you have the center, like you mentioned, you have the Corki, you have everything on the side of JDG that they will be comfortable with. We're going into the second game, it's all about Jingdo, you know, in that early game, making sure that he can stall into that late game so then JDG can feel comfortable.
And on the flip side, you know, we had questions for Lemon after the Jace pick. This time he is going for the Morgana. And we have seen the Morgana jungle, unfortunately, not get any wins so far, but we have seen it twice. The Morgana jungle, big strength of this champion is that it has by far the fastest jungle clear speed. And yes, he is starting. He's starting Wolves so that he can. I know you can technically do both Blue and Gromp at the same time with the shadows, but if they were getting invaded early, that would be devastating because then you don't get any buffs, where this guarantees that you get a quick level 2.
This is a safe option for sure. I like you said, you know, you can get the Gromp and the blue buff at the same time. What happens most of the time is that you get the Gromp and the blue, and then you go onto the walls, and you go onto the red side of the map. This might mean that he might just go for like just a full red side clear, and then maybe look to try and get some early aggression, maybe in the bot side. You can see they're just clearing them away at the moment. They have just both been taken away. Now, where do you rotate from this point? Because I feel like it takes a while for you to rotate up into the top side of the map.
Look at this. This movement from Charm, he was making sure that he could protect Lebmont on the invade by coming out and using that Blue Scryer's wards early, seeing where Singdo was going to be, if he was looking for the early invade off the red side clear, but he just fully clears, and now he's going in, getting the wards down, but this already gives Lebmont the opportunity to get both red and Raptors done at the same time.
As you mentioned, you know, Morgana is probably the fastest jungle clear in the entire game. You can get level 5 so quickly,
Beautiful.
as you can see on screen now. Great time production. But yeah, as you can see, getting the Raptors and the red buff done at the exact same time. Already level 4. All that Morgana needs to do now is get the Krugs, and then you'll be able to get
and you're level 5.
Yep, as soon as that. And as you can see, you know, Jingdo is currently a level behind. Is going to get level 4 from this Scuttle Crab, but then Lamont's just going to get level 5. There you go, a level ahead. And it's as easy as that. That's how you play Wild Rift, ladies and gentlemen.
Lebmont full clearing his entire jungle before Singdo doesn't even get a chance to enter in his blue side jungle. On the flip side, he did get both of the Scuttle Crabs, so he gets early defensive vision, and it goes back to what you said. Singdo, his job this game is to make sure that none of his lanes fall behind early or get ganked by either Charm's Gragas or Lebmont's Morgana.
Yeah, and it's going to be a struggle now for Lemont to try and roam through, as you said, because they have the vision in the top side and the bot side of the rivers. Now Lemont has to try and move through the vision. It's going to just go through the mid lane at the moment, but now it kind of becomes a situation where Lemont's like, okay, what do I do now? You know, it's a situation where it's
farming.
like, yeah, back to farming. I mean, there's not really anything you can do. There's not really any lanes you can really gank, to be honest. Mid lane's really hard because Jojo can just Valkyrie away. Bot lane is also really difficult to gank. The same with top lane as well. So, as you know, as you just said, you know, Lemont is just going to be going back through the jungle, just farming up for now, and Lee Sin's doing the exact same thing. But, you know, on JDG's side, this is fine. This is what you want for the side of JDG. You just want it to be a stable early game, so the Riven can outscale the Renekton, the Senna can outscale the Varus, the Corki could potentially outscale the Jace at the same time.
Long-range damage becomes a premium. And look at this, Doki flashing forward, Protobelt into the Facebreaker, getting the full-on showstopper, finds first blood for JDG.
First blood to JDG, but here comes the counter game from starting though.
Shock
Great
blast,
block.
flashes from both Lebmont, forcing the flash out and counter response, but Jojo's there with his own counter response, catching out Charm.
Lamont's timing there on the dart binding, not dart binding, sorry, on the black shields was just really unfortunate. I think Doki there was just split decision making. That's all it takes. You know, if you want to go in, you go in. You just go full force. And Lamont on the Black Shield wasn't able to stop the Showstopper. I think if he uses the Black Shield there to stop the Showstopper, then I think Immortals are in a much better position.
And the ferocity of Doki is shown fully in that demonstration there. As we take a look at the replay, just instant.
Yeah. You can see Lamont there, he Black Shields himself instead. Really, really unfortunate on the side of Immortals. And then this counter engage as well, you can see Doki and Chi are just like, okay, we're just going to body block you. Jingdo is completely fine as well. Nice flash away as well from Chi. Immortals are the ones, again, that are trying to look for these early game plays, but JDG, they're just a level above them. They're just there. They're there for the counter gank. And actually, as we mentioned, it kind of goes back to the same thing as like Jingdo. He's the one that's just there for the counter gank. He's there at the right place at the right time, and he's there for the counter engage.
And the thing about Lee Sin plays in the early game, there's always a discussion. There's like two important windows. It's either one, the level 2, level 3 window, where it's super early on, under 1:30 before Scuttle Crab comes up, or when you're level 5, when you can get that Dragon's Rage and how well it can be executed. And that time, he didn't even need the Dragon's Rage for a pick. It was just used to disengage the fight and ensure that no one from JDG fell.
He even did like a little flashy play as well, as he's going to look towards the Baron lane now, and Zello's in a lot of trouble.
Damn. Zello forced to flash out, as Lemon had threatened him with the Blade of the Exile into the Wind Slash. Now it's
Lemon
pressure.
Could kill him. Lemon could just kill him. Wow, Zello's playing with fire. He just walks up, he uses his ultimate in the end, but his fights will cross the map.
Another showstopper. Down goes Lemon, starting his left to himself in a 1v3 isolated. The Dragon still being tamed up here by the rest of JDG, and because there's no jungler, Immortals cannot threaten to steal.
That means that JDG, they're going to get the Rift Herald, and they're
getting everything.
They're going to take the Dragon as well.
They're so good, man.
And now they're going to just look towards the first Dragon of the game. And again, this is JDG. The rotations around the map, being at the right place at the right time. And you know what? They don't even need the Rift Herald.
Wait a minute. Body slam, explosive cast, a lot of damage, but Toki.
Rift Herald?
Good mechanics. Haymaker Flash gets him out, but nice Dark Binding and Chain of Corruptions lands right on top. That is an answer from Immortals onto JoJo.
Nice engage there by Immortals, making full use. You know, really good explosive cast by Charm as well, clearing out the minion wave, making sure that JDG can't get the first tower of the game. Quite surprised that Jingdo didn't just drop the Rift Herald there to get even more of an advantage. But he's just saving it for now. He feels that maybe his team can just get that bot lane tower instead. He can maybe use that towards the mid lane.
Oh, man, dude. Lemon is so terrifying now that he has the Black Cleaver to match against Zello, because it's bypassed the point where Riven is normally weakened to the Renekton. He's falling forward, but Charm is here, potentially saves the play. Zello pops the Dominus, and Charm manages to save Zello's life under the tower.
But meanwhile, that means that JDG are just going to try and get this mid lane tower up. However, they don't have a minion wave. This is a misplay, really, in terms of the Rift Herald. They is going to get the charge, but they're still not going to get the first tower of the game. So Charm with the roams up in the Baron lane, but look, you can see JDG. They use the Rift Herald in the mid lane. They don't even want the mid lane tower. They're just using the pressure from the mid lane to try and get that bot lane tower. But look at Immortals. They're doing really well defensively again. They're defending the bot lane. But that means Zello could push the top lane, and Immortals, they're matching the rotations from JDG this game.
JDG are not able to clean out first brick quite yet, but Zello is not able to get the first tower thanks to the quick rotation of Doki. And now this minion wave coming in. Gume should be able to clear it out. So the pressure is still... Oh, wait.
Oh.
I appreciate you building up Immortals like that. And eventually JDG persists through, get first brick. And the rest of JDG, once again, showing strength in numbers as they corral on the top side of the map, just making sure that Lemon is able to get out.
It's just Senna doing Senna things, really, isn't it? It's just Senna just
long range, baby.
Up, yeah, long range. I'll also attack the tower. That'll be completely fine. But that just goes back down to the Rift Herald, and that means that in the bot lane as well, they still have the tower as well to be able to get in the bot lane. Starting is doing well, pushing out the tower in the bot lane, and now Immortals are the one that can look to try and look in the bot lane. But look, again, JDG, they're here to defend. They're just everywhere. I feel like they're just everywhere around the map all the time, JDG. You know, every time Immortals are trying to look for a play, JDG is just like, okay, we're going to match that. And Doki's actually going in.
Facebreaker, but Black Shield comes out. Showstopper right onto Charm. Falls up from the Dawning Shadow from Chip from downtown.
Oh.
The rest of Immortals are able to get out. Doki almost is taken down in the aftermath. Immortals don't manage to find a response.
And Lemon in his Baron lane at the moment is destroying Zello at the moment. You know, this Riven versus Renekton matchup, normally with a Renekton you want to try and get the early game lead, but the problem is that that lead's basically non-existent right now. There's no lead at all really for Zello, and that means that Lemon's just going to be able to scale even further into as we go into the mid and late game here. As we're approaching 9 minutes, the second objective should be spawning very soon. The second Rift Herald is spawning in 25 seconds. We're going to see, you know, if Immortals are going to be the ones that are going to be like, okay, we're just going to stay stable, we're just going to farm up and maybe hope for a late game team fight that we can maybe win, or if they're going to look to contest. But for now, it looks like most of them are just in the bot side of the maps. They're just going to give this Rift Herald for free.
It's coming up in the next 7 seconds. We'll say that Zello is still itemizing for the 1v1. It's a Blade of the Rune King that is coming up second item. So it means that there is still potential to find kill threat against the Riven if you can get your full combo out. Charm looking for the body slam, but the package comes out from JoJo, and now that forces Immortals to retreat. Doki with the flash face breaker, gets a flash out of starting, but turns tail right onto Lebmont. Joe stopping him out of the tower. But it's all to buy time, because Singdo has cleaned up the Rift Herald on the other side of the map. And JDG, do they continue? I don't think you can dive. I know you guys are really good, but it's 3-on-4.
You're really good at Wild Rift, but at the same time, you're maybe not that good to tower dive at crazy 4 versus 4, but
they were ready to push the limits.
I mean,
that's
they are.
The terrifying part.
They're ready to risk it all. They're ready to risk everything. But like you said, this is just all a distraction this whole time. You can see Jingdo in the top side of the map. He isn't going to be using the Rift Herald just yet, but he takes the Rift Herald away. Zello's not going to be able to cancel the back just yet. But as you mentioned, it was just a distraction this whole time. And JDG, they're just playing the map better at the moment against Immortals. They're taking down the objectives. They've taken both Rift Heralds. They've taken the first dragon. They're now going to look towards his second dragon, which is coming up in 10 seconds time. And you can see Lamont. He's just going back to base. They just don't want to contest anything at all. This is just giving JDG more gold. This is giving JDG a free time to scale as well.
Yeah.
Charm's also attacking. I don't know if you want to be here, Charm.
Well,
it's coming down though.
You know, it's Lebmont desperately trying to get the recall in. It's a second item completion, the Leandries, that will do a lot of damage over time if Immortals can lock down members of JDG. But if that's going to be such a tough challenge, because most of these characters have a lot of mobility. Lamont gets caught out, forced to flash away, burned the shoal shackles as well. Singdo burned down 50% HP, and it means the dragon is being stalled out.
No Morgana ulti, no Varus ulti as well. Gume just missed the chain of corruption there, which means that, you know, Jingdo still has his ulti, Chi still has his ulti, and Doki still has his ulti as well, but really good Dark Binding.
Okay, Dark Binding gets about 50% HP out of JoJo. You saw pressure from Immortals in the mid lane. 3-man face breaker from Doki, stalling as much time as he can, allows Singdo to secure the Infernal Dragon for JDG, and now they just have to be on the run. If they get out alive, Doki's the only person that falls, and Immortals now trying to find a counter response. They can look to clean up this tower and at least answer some gold back.
Yeah, they do get the mid lane tower, and to be honest with you, Rafa, you know, the gold lead is actually not that bad. They're only about 2,000 gold behind, but the problem is that JDG, they've just taken every single objective right now, and they're going to be Immortals though. They're getting another tower, and this means that the tower game is going to be even, and that means that gold lead is now only down to about just over 1,000 gold.
And Immortals are keeping somewhat in line with JDG, and it's not the massive 6,000 gold lead that we saw at this time around. Immortals being more cautious, have a lot more forgiveness with the composition they've drafted this time around. The rest of Immortals just poising around as the Baron will be spawning in the next 25 seconds.
I mean, even though JDG only have like a 1,000 gold leads, they're happy with the position that they're in right now. You know, this is a Chinese way to win the game. You know, this is WRL's way to win the game. They find the right opportunities to go in.
Oh god, you see the walls are closing in. Lemon and Singdo coming in for the flank on the right side of the map. And Immortals forced to corral back into the safety of the tower, which forfeits it. But Charm with the explosive cask. Charm this series, even in their first game loss, has consecutively found almost great picks, things that almost find ways for Immortals to get back into the game. The damage never is able to follow up cleanly, but it's just something that Immortals can always reliably look to.
And they're funneling more and more gold onto starting right now. He took the Baron lane tower, he's now also taking the bot lane tower. This is still a pretty even game in terms of gold and in terms of towers. But the thing is that the dragons are just there, the scaling is there for JDG, and I feel like overall, they do have the better scaling comp as well. They have the Senna, they have the Riven, they also have the Corki as well. Yes, the Lee Sin is not going to be able to scale as much, but we've seen Jingdo on this Lee Sin before. You know, even though it's not the best scaling champion, the mechanics that you can do with Lee Sin, the kicks as well, can change a team fight in an instant.
And he knows his role this game. His job was to make sure that he was the bridge and ensure that JDG did not suffer a tremendous disadvantage, a deficit in the early game. He's done his job. He's gotten JDG across that line in the game. Now, Lemont looking for a Dark Binding. Lemon is able to dodge out on the mobility. The rest of JDG, as you said, content in the position that they are in.
Yeah, exactly. They'll take it for now. They're trying to get advantages as well across the map. They're trying to get vision control, but Lemont doesn't have Black Shield. Oh, that was close. No flash, though, now for Lemont. That means he can't use the flashy, crazy engages that we've been seeing on Morganas this entire tournament. And that means that now we're at another stalemate at the moment. We're in a bit of a situation where both teams, they're just going to be sitting back. They're just going to be farming for now. It's a lot slower game than the previous one. But you can see the items being completed across the board. Senna has a Manamune completed, Divine Sunderer. Corki as well has the build that I'm not going to talk about because I hate the build.
You don't like more mana Divine Sunderer, Senna?
No, I was talking about the Corki.
Oh, the Corki. Oh, okay, yeah.
I was saying, you know, I was saying about the Divine Sunderer and Manamune. I was like, yeah, that's fine. And I look at Corki build, I'm like, cool,
see,
I'll skip that.
Stuart says he hates this, and then a couple of days ago when we were playing ranked, he's like, I'm going to do the Hullbreaker Corki build.
I wanted to give it a try. I wanted to see what the hype was all about. But I'm still not too sure.
Keeping you on your toes,
Yep.
yeah, Stuart.
I mean, these players, that's why these players are here, and I'm standing right here, and they're on stage playing.
Damn, it's true.
I guess I'm missing out on something.
About 15 and a half minutes into the game here. JDG clearly waiting on the Elder Dragon to spawn, which will be coming up in the next minute, maybe less. Immortals making sure that they don't suffer too many losses. They are down 3,000 gold, but Immortals are willing to take their chances for that potentially last fight of the game.
And we're about 40 seconds away from this Elder Dragon now. I think it's really crucial to have a look at the mini-map right now and look at the vision. The vision at the moment, there's a little bit of vision on the side of JDG towards the Baron. They don't have a lot of vision on the bot side map, but Immortals, they don't have any wards at all. They have one ward towards that Baron, and that's it. They're just going to be going into this Dragon Pit completely blind. But this is an opportunity now. Obviously, they don't know because they don't have vision, but JDG are not in the river. 15 seconds until this Elder Dragon. This is make or break for both of these teams.
And look what JoJo's doing as well. Right before the Dragon spawns, gets a quick shove in, which forces Starting to come late to the Dragon. He doesn't have teleport, so he's going to have to take the long walk towards the Dragon Pit and get himself set up just to make sure that this wave doesn't cause pressure.
Again, the vision, there's no vision on this Elder Dragon at all at the moment for Immortals. They've just got very, very defensive wards in their own jungle. You can see that JDG, what they're doing, they're pushing out the waves. They're making sure that there's a little bit of pressure, but now Immortals, they feel confident walking forward, but Jingdo in this bot side, they're playing.
Dude, they're so scared. Even when they have all 5 members here, they don't know where any of the members of JDG are, and the package couldn't have come up for a better time for JDG. Immortals have to find a, this pick on the Doki, but he is a tanky set. He's not going down to just a Chain of Corruptions pick.
But again, look at Lemon. Lemon's pushing in the bot wave. They're pushing in the mid lane as well. They're making sure that Immortals have no way in. Now it's all down to this Elder Dragon. It's all down to this moment. Keep an eye on the junglers. Keep an eye on Doki.
Doki frontlining for it. Also watch JoJo to see if he uses the package to dive in and create space, or if he uses it to engage onto the pick. Doki in the front line doesn't have Haymaker. Okay, Immortals now have a numbers advantage, but the package is huge. Lemon separating the members of JDG from the back line. He finds the rocket onto Immortals, and now they're kiting backwards. Zello taking him as much as he can, but it's the flash forward from Lemon that finds the broken wings knockup. Not even Starting can survive the engage. Gume is forced to retreat, and JDG have all the members they need to secure the Elder Dragon.
Doki goes a little bit too forward. If you take a look back at the Coca-Cola pop-off, we see Doki here. He tries to go for an engage. He tries to flash in. He tries to go for the miracle play. He does well, but he can't get the ultimate off, the Dark Binding afterwards. But look at Lemon on the sideline. He's the one with the flank. He's the one with all the damage. The package straight in afterwards as well. And it's just full aggression from JDG. They have the scaling. They have the Senna. They have the Riven. They have the Corki scaling up as well, and that flash forward into knock up as well was absolutely huge from Lemon.
And when Lemon can fully face tank in the aftermath of Doki's engage, it gives all the space to Jojo and Chit on the backline to free fire into the waiting arms of Immortals, where they can't do anything about it. They can't find ways to disrupt the backline. They have to deal with the Riven on the front.
Yeah,
Look at Jojo.
Look at the Corki damage. Absolutely disgusting. 7.2 thousand damage.
That package.
Yeah, it's the package. I mean, you mentioned it just before as well. You know, it's all eyes on Jojo to keep an eye on the package. And Immortals.
Oh, they were trying to go for a Hail Mary. Respect to them. But JDG will quell any Hail Mary attempts from the North American representative. We'll say thank you for the Baron Leash. We'll take it from here now. The rest of Immortals are now on the run, but Che is just running down the rest of Immortals, starting Aguma and the only members to survive, but a Baron being gifted graciously over to JDG, taking it in full stride and marching down towards the nexus of Immortals.
Like you said, Immortals tried to go for a miracle play. Respect to them. They tried to go for a little bit of a miracle play, but JDG, they're one step ahead every single time. They're trying to make plays, they're trying to go for engages, but JDG, they're the ones that are on top.
Arguably a closer game for the first 14 minutes, but by the time when it got to the final objective, JDG struck with ferocity and striking fear into the hearts of everyone. This is the WRL second team showing up and showing why they are a tournament favorite and they are a force to be reckoned with.
Beautiful, beautiful performance by JDG again, showing why China are the strongest region and why JDG are one of the favorites, as you mentioned, coming into this tournament. And for Immortals, it was a better second game. It was a lot better second game for Immortals, but you're up against a beast like JDG. I think coming into it, it's really hard to kind of predict against JDG coming into this, you know, with how strong they were in the play-ins as well, and they're on free flow at the moment.
You just cannot help but be completely awestruck by JDG. The composure that they show, the absolute dominant performance, back-to-back series or back-to-back games. And look, oh, look at these poses. This is so cute. And for JDG off the back, I love the dynamicness of this team. To be such a ferocious team fighting squad on game, on the Rift. But then outside of game, they're super chill. It's like, yeah let's go.
W's. I think that's what they were doing in the hands. I think they were doing a little W
Oh,
sign.
yeah.
Little W. That's a
Massive W for JDG.
Big W.
Yeah, take a bow, guys. And they make it look so easy, but it takes hard work. It takes so much dedication to the game to get to this point, to be one of the best here at Icons.
Yeah, for sure. And I think for JDG, they've proven this game as well that they are one of the best. You know, defeating the first seed from NA, I think it's going to be difficult for them also now. They're going to be going down into that lower bracket against Liberty. And we know what happened last time when when Liberty faced off against NA. But I'm not going to remind you about that. You know, for JDG, they're going to be moving on.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I mean, I imagine for the Brazil third seed, they're fully confident. I mean, they almost took that series off of Roster Y, but they were probably more than confident being able to face off against Immortals as well. And Immortals are going to have to dig deep if they want to take down an equally force in Liberty's from Brazil. But of course, JDG move on to the upper bracket. They'll be taking on Roster Y, who showed great adaptation in their series as well. And I know Digon, Riku, and TJ, there is so much to talk about now that the group has been set.
Thank you very much, Rafa and Stuart. Great cast on the day. It's another loss for North America. I am a little hurting. So let's send it on over to our non-North American voting squad here in Riku and TJ. Go ahead, Riku.
I think it was still a tremendous effort from IMT, right? The fact that JDG couldn't exactly do a very explosive early game like what we usually see when we see JDG, it was more of a slow, more of just trying to control the map state. I don't think this is a very... It's felt like IMT could have done it with the game state that we saw, especially for game number 2.
I mean,
It felt like it.
I think JDG were perfectly happy with that game going slow.
Sure.
Which is the wrong thing for me to say as a WNS caster, as like someone who does genuinely love the Immortals players. I think that this was a very calm and collected JDG. Sure, IMT did a very good job not giving them early game opportunities, which we've seen many teams play JDG and make fatal mistakes during the first couple of minutes. But I also think that JDG, when they didn't get those early game opportunities, when this game reached its first couple of dragon fights, and they weren't, you know, explosively winning the game, they said, that's fine, we can sit tight, we know that we're going to win in the late game, and they did.
And it makes sense, right? Because a lot of the picks that IMT drafted were very heavily focused on early to mid, especially Renekton's going to fall off eventually, Gragas as well. And the fact that, oh my gosh, JDG built up 4 Divine Sunderers against a poke composition. They are going to survive. They have a lot of sustain in these fights.
Yeah, definitely. And I think Doki did a fantastic job soaking up so much of the initial damage that Immortals wanted to put out. Just like in this team fight, again, Doki on the set, just running straight at them, burns 2 ultimates in the form of the Morgana ult. I believe also the Varus ult wasn't up at that time because he burned it earlier.
Yeah.
And so Doki just knowing what his role was for the squad.
And I want to highlight, because this is an interaction we've seen twice today, where when you have this Senna backline, it does 2 things for you. First of all, you have the Senna in the backline. That Dawning Shadow in team fights is a game changer.
Yes.
It does a weird amount of damage in Wild Rift. You think of it as like this big AoE. There's no way it does that much damage. It does. But also it's providing massive shield for the team that's already engaged, which oftentimes turns the fight. And then secondly, you have that big tank frontliner whose HP is a resource. We saw this most effectively from Team Flash, but all the WRL teams are really good about using it as well, which is, okay, I'm going to go into the front line, I'm going to be set, I'm going to be really scary, and sure you're going to kill me, or sure you're going to spend all your ults and force me to retreat from this fight, but that's free damage. That's all of those critical spells, all of that critical damage dumped into somebody who can ultimately retreat, or whose death won't impact the results of the team fight. And Immortals had some really bad target calling around that. You highlighted the Chains of Corruption being burnt in the middle of the map. It doesn't matter if you landed Dark Binding. It is a set. You are not going to burn through his HP.
Yeah, and the biggest threat on the side of JDG, of course, is usually you say Shindo, Shindo, Shindo all the time, but this time around it was JoJo here on this Corki that was dealing massive amount of damage, by the way.
What a package.
The package, the massive package at the end of that fight, where he was in the middle of every one of Immortals, just went straight to it, Valkyrie into a better position, and imagine, he lived scot-free.
One more time, if we can go back one graphic and take a look at the damage charts from both squads. Immortals dished out more damage. But again, didn't lead to any kills because of the fact that it kept hitting this target that wanted to soak the damage.
Yeah.
You're farming damage onto the set. The number looks real good. I see this all the time in my solo queue games. People are like hitting the set. They're like, I had highest damage in the game. Yeah, but it didn't mean anything.
It's poke comp. Yeah,
And
exactly.
I think the other thing, like you were talking about, this is a poke comp, and we did not see a whole lot of IMT actually getting access to the targets you want to poke out. For this poke composition to be successful for IMT, that means they're stunning, they're rooting, they're doing damage to the players in the backlines that are going to have to retreat if they take damage. If they catch out the Lee Sin, they don't even need to kill him. Just do a decent amount of damage, make it so that he can't step forward in the team fight and finish kills, and we didn't see that once during the major late game team fights, and that is why IMT lost, just because of that positioning, because of that access to the key JDG targets.
One thing that I want to take away, though, from this game, especially game number 2, is the fact that IMT did a good job stabilizing the gold. At the Elder Drake, it was a 2k gold deficit. It's just unfortunately, the game state, the composition is much better for JDG's side at that time.
I think a lot of the stuff IMT did to slow down the game was genuinely very good. The problem is just that JDG were okay with it.
I feel like there was lack of creativity and maybe a little bit from this Immortal squad, both in the draft because of the way that they've drafted, but then, as you said, the game state at that point with the set in the front line, very difficult to get into the river. There weren't wards, there were no flanks, there were no, like, let's burst and try to get in. It was very much like, all right, let's try to poke and walk through this small little crevice. Oh, we got engaged on by a Corki with the package, a Riven over the blue buff wall. Who would have thought? I didn't feel like there was any... Yeah, again, creativity towards how you would play these fights. Strategic creativity here, TJ.
Yeah,
just thinking on it.
A lot of little miscommunications. Like we saw on the sequence around, I believe it was the second Dragon fight, where there were some very late resets, followed by the Morgana just kind of wandering out into the fight. Lebmont disconnected from the rest of the team. Blew his flash very early to disengage from an over-aggressive push, and just stuff that shouldn't be happening for a team like Immortals. I talked about it earlier. Immortals have won a lot domestically off the back of their mechanical talent, off the back of their ability to find 1v1s in lane. That's not going to happen here against a team like JDG. Now, they will have another swing in this group, and I do know, because we've been talking to them, that there are other members of this team here. So we'll see what roster shows up for that second swing. We'll see what they've learned from this first match against one of the best teams in the world.
All right, well, with that victory, let's take a look at the updated Group D bracket. Immortals falls to the lower side and will take on Liberty. And on the top side, it's another battle of the WCK and the WRL in Rolster Y and JDG after Rolster Y battled back 2-1 over Liberty. This is an exciting group.
That's yummy.
Oh yeah, dude. This is most exciting because Liberty could become the most hated North American team, or the most hated team by North Americans, like ever. They could knock out both of the North American representatives here. And Immortals on the opposite side do have an opportunity to get some revenge down there in the lower bracket, and they have an opportunity to keep North American dreams alive if they can beat what looks to be the hottest team in the tournament.
Oh yeah, Liberty, I'm so excited for that matchup for sure. And just as you mentioned, Liberty, you know, hate to remind you guys, sent Sentinels home back in play-ins. And
no, I think you should say that again, just judging by the look on Degon's face. Can we get that one more time?
Liberty going up against Immortals. The same fate could happen again, Degon. Hopefully not, as they did send home Sentinels back in the play-ins.
Here, you can flip this.
No, I'm okay, TJ.
I find that helps when I feel confused or upset.
I
Just once, try it.
because
Just try it once.
It was TJ!
driving
He told me to do it!
See?
All right.
Feels-
Okay. When we take a look at it, though, I mean, there's a strong possibility here where Immortals comes, they're the top-seeded team in WNS, and they come and play 2 series, 4 games, go home.
Yeah. No, I
That's
mean,
a possibility.
frankly, the Immortals we saw on stage today will lose to Liberty. However, we talked about the things that were going wrong. I think Immortals have a very good coaching staff. They have Coach Pugh, who we saw in the room afterwards, who has been on this international stage before. He played with the Sentinels, or the Sentinels team, actually, a couple of years ago in different mobile esports. So they have the resources, they have the roster here to work it out, and I want to see Immortals come back. I think Liberty are very much within striking distance. That'll be a really fun match.
Yep.
Let's flip to the top side of the bracket with the JDG and Rolster Y matchup here, Riku.
Ooh.
Again, winner of that moves to the knockout stage, done and dusted. You don't have to play anyone else here. A lot on the line here between those 2 squads.
I know, and I feel like that's going to be a very insanely close series, because what we saw in the Liberty match is that they can snowball early. And what we saw in JDG today, they were very slow. They were taking their time. So that is the window that I believe RY can take when they do fight it out on the next time.
Riku, would you feel comfortable repeating something you said to me? We were sitting over there, we were talking about the Chinese teams.
Oh.
Do you want to get that on the record?
Oh, okay. But you start, because
Okay.
you brought it up.
We kind of agreed. We were looking at, we were thinking about watching Nova, and we were thinking about watching JDG. Kind of look a little shaky.
Yes.
You know, they weren't losing, but they looked a little slow. And I think JDG has been the least impressive, or at least tied with J-Team, in terms of Chinese teams at this tournament. They've looked, you said that they had one style that they've executed?
Yeah, they had one style. It felt like it is just for Xingdo to shine. Well, different scenario today, but I feel like their biggest strength and their only strength that they will rely on when things get hard is definitely Xingdo. And
Yeah.
I feel like that a lot of these teams have seen that from play-ins up until now. If they don't adapt, if they do not evolve, then it's going to be a problem as the tournament progresses.
And so, like, Rolster have looked shaky. All the Korean teams have looked very shaky,
Yes.
but Rolster, we saw first look at them, a little bit of inconsistency. But JDG are very much within striking
Yes.
distance. And I think that match as well in this bracket, in this group, is going to be very close and very fun.
When we take a look at the day overall, what were your biggest surprise and takeaway in terms of the matches that we got to see?
Ooh, okay.
Ooh.
For me, it has has to be the Liberty one because when we look back at the Horizon Cup, right? Because when we look at Brazil as a region, when we look at the WCK, it felt like they were very far when it comes to the gap. But seeing them duke it out where Liberty took that series into game number 3, they can do it. The gap keeps getting closer and closer until I don't see the gap anymore, you know?
TJ, we'll get your point after this because apparently Kangas is ready with more on Immortals. So let's send it on over to Kangas for our Verizon post-game interview.
Thanks, Degon. I am here with Charm from Immortals after an unfortunate 0-2 loss against JDG to start off their Horizon Cup Icons group stage, or Icons group stage rather. I want to start with that. JDG, your opponent here, they're one of the top teams, number 2 from China. What was it like playing against them on stage?
From, our practice and scrims, we knew coming into this tournament already, and even before the group stage, we knew that JDG was going to be one of the toughest teams to go against. And, it's out of all either out of like Nova, Burium, and I don't even know I forgot the other one. But
J-Team,
J-Team. JDG was definitely the team I didn't want to get in our group, and especially, I'm friends with the JDG support, and it's one of my only other friends internationally, and it's unfortunate we went against each other, but I think even from scrims we were actually really close. I know the games today we wanted to win obviously, but I think with how they went we were able to at least follow their goal and not fall too far behind.
So what's the history there then between you and the JDG support?
Oh, actually, when I first went against them, I got trashed on, and I knew from there on out, I knew wow, I just got for the first time in a while, I just got support gapped, and from there, I got into contact with them, and we just became friends because we were able to both speak Spanish, or not Spanish, but Chinese,
Okay.
and we were able to just we both play support, so
Yeah. Just trade notes, trade meta thoughts, everything like that.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. Well, again, it's a tough group to be drawn into, but this was your first time on the international stage representing NA for Wild Rift. What was that experience like? Was there any nerves going up on the stage? How was the team doing on kind of the mental prep going into the match?
Honestly, going into this tournament and obviously playing for the first time our debut on the biggest stage, we weren't. I wasn't really that nervous. My teammates, they weren't really that nervous either. Especially, there's no live audience, and so we're not really. We're used to it, and for me, I think we've always historically Immortals has always been a tournament team instead of a scrim team. So I think we came into this tournament really prepared, or not as prepared to it. Prepared.
Yeah. And it is a tournament. It's a double elim tournament. Your next match will be up against Liberty, the Brazilians, man. They took out Tribe back at Horizon Cup, beating them in that series. They just take 2 series against Sentinels earlier in the play-ins. And now you get a chance to represent North America against Brazil one more time. What are your thoughts on Liberty?
So against Liberty, if I'm going to be honest, JDG, obviously the team that I was afraid to go against. And I'm also afraid of going against the Brazilians, but not for the same reason.
Okay.
I'm afraid of going against the Brazilians because, if you beat them, they trash talk you on Twitter. If you lose to them, they trash talk you on Twitter. If you're going against them, they're going to trash talk you no matter what. And, after we beat them, I'm going to have to delete my Twitter. So.
Well, how about this? If I put you on the spot, are you willing to give some trash talk to the Brazilians out there? Because we know it's coming to us either way. Yeah? You want to give some trash talk to the Brazilian fans out there? What's Immortals about to do to Liberty?
Brazilians, I don't even understand how you made it this far. And, I'm just going to let how we play talk. I'm not going to say too much. You guys have played pretty well this tournament, and all of your teams surprised us and definitely surprised all the NA teams. And I just want to I do want to say I want to give credit Sentinels. They, out of scrims and all of that, we definitely expected Sentinels to win. And I think a lot of people expected Sentinels to do really well, but it's unfortunate. And I know there are European teams and European friends and North American friends that are counting on us, and they really want us to beat Liberty. So I'm going to try my best and just play my best game.
Let the gameplay do the talking. I think that's the right way to play it. Thank you so much, Charm. Degon, back to you.
All right, thank you very much, Kangas. I feel a little revitalized now. No?
That wasn't trash talk.
That wasn't trash
What
talk.
are we doing?
It was like a caveat of everything.
They're really
surprised that
good.
you're here, but you did play well, and also, you know, but you made us better, and now Europe is relying on us too. But also, shout out to Sentinels, and we'll let her play keep talking.
He just like. We need to run back the interview.
No, we don't.
Before the game, because trash talk doesn't count if you do it after the game. We need to get Kangas back in the room, find Charm again, and do it again.
All right, well, we'll see what happens here. Again, you know, Immortals still trying to find their way, and it was really insightful to hear Charm talk about the relationship he had with Oki and playing against him and whatnot. So that was pretty cool. All right, let's take a look at Group A as we close out our day. Their bracket is also complete. Let's take a look at that one. Bam, right at the top, Team Flash.
I am so excited for this one, right? Because this is another test, because I feel like Team Flash already has jumped over the WCK challenge, which was T1, in very dominant fashion. Now this, I feel like, in this group stage is a big, big challenge for Nova, against Nova.
Riku, the
Yes.
question.
Yes.
50-50. Are Team Flash going to be the very first team to take down a WRL squad in a best-of-3 series?
Yes!
Bam!
I'm very 100% confident, yes.
Bam.
Bam!
Bam. One more time, ready?
Bam!
All right, there we go.
Flip my pen.
No, I'm not.
You're not
Get
gonna
away
get
from
another
me,
chance.
TJ. I'm not
You're not
flipping
gonna get
the pen.
another
I can
chance.
do it, I can
Okay,
do it.
okay.
I got it.
Coming up tomorrow, it's time for the winners bracket. 4 teams will move on to the knockouts, and 4 will have to fight it out in the losers bracket. As we take a look at the schedule for tomorrow's game, we got ourselves Nova versus Team Flash, J-Team versus RRQ, FPX versus Omega, and Korea's Roster Y versus JD Gaming. And if you liked watching the pen flip here by Riku, got a little bit more here in just a bit as we take a look at the matches one more time. Which match you most excited about?
For me, I mean, RQ, Team Flash, everything is just gonna be so wild for the next schedule. My WCS heart is pumping.
I saw her get very excited for Team Flash, and then when you mentioned the RQJ team, there was like a grimace. There was like a little shake of the head. So I think that answers all the questions.
Yeah, I think it does as well. All right. If you liked watching, good. Pen flip one more time. Let's see it.
Okay.
There it is. Riku.
Okay,
you do
my
it.
turn.
If you like watching these Riku highlights, we got one more here for you. All right, fine. I'll do it once. Got it. All right, here. Take a look at Riku watching the games with all of her heart and all the emotion and all the noises as well. Again, see, look at that. You see how much you emoted in that one? I'm sure we have it ready for us. Because again, these games brought some of the biggest and best highlights that we've had all icons long. And Riku caught it with her eyes and her emotion through it. Here we go. We'll have it. It's coming. It's coming. I promise.
I didn't even know this was.
No, Riku. There it is.
Oh my god.
The jumping.
I'm dead.
The power up.
The Rift Herald port cancel smash.
He missed. What are we doing?
Why is he still alive? Yes, kill the wombo. Kill the wombo out of the combo. Whoa. No. No, he dashed to the minion. Wait, dude. What? Charm. Do I watch like this? Yeah. I cannot believe I watched like It's so different when you see it.
That is literally what it is like.
Okay, it's so
watching with you. But it's been a pleasure.
It was very fun.
All right, day 2, the group stage is wrapped up. On behalf of myself, the casters, my analyst desk, and the entire live broadcast crew, thank you so much for watching Icons. We'll have more tomorrow. See you then.
Bam, bam.
Bam, bam.
Bam, bam, bam.
Bam.
1, 2, 3.